So today we're going to be talking about what does it mean on an E1 visa to trade with the United States. The trade must principally be between the United States and your treaty country, right? So where you have a passport, that's what we're looking for. So what we're looking for there specifically is at least 50% of the international trade volume, right? So think about that. If you're right on the border of that, that could kind of change at any time. So normally we're going to recommend something like 60 to 70% of the trade, because then it's a little bit enough over that threshold that the officer wouldn't think, with one big order from whatever, Italy, this whole thing could be wrecked, right? Now you're not at the right trade level. So consider that, especially when you're talking about the trade volume, right? If you have millions of dollars worth of trade, then it might be a little bit easier. If you're only at a few $100,000 worth of trade, one big order could throw that trade volume off, right? So think about that. Think about the trade between your home country where you have the passport and the United States. Now, here's something else to consider. I once had a treaty trader who applied, who had a Turkey passport, but was living in Canada. They're still interested in the trade between Turkey and the United States, right? So keep that in mind. It's really between where you have a passport and the United States. So also remember that whenever we're talking about a company that deals in a lot of domestic sales as well, right? So let's say you have an Italian company and they trade with the United States, and it's 90% of all of their international trade is with the United States. And that equals, let's say, $1 million, but your domestic sales are $100 million. It could technically work, but we usually like to see that international trade and domestic trade be a lot closer, right? There's a little bit of confusing language in the FAM about that. And so we would like to see those numbers a little bit closer together. We don't want just a tiny little portion of that, home country business to be trade with the United States. We want to see it be a significant piece of their overall revenue, domestic or international. Certainly international, it's got to be at least 50%. But as mentioned, depending on the trade volume, we may recommend 60 to 70% just to ensure that you'll never dip below that 50%. If you have any questions about your E1 visa, please give us a call. We'd love to talk to you anytime about your E1 visa.